This video is going to try to answer the question of whether or not people are going to choose to live overseas as remote workers. Okay. And the answer, I believe, is yes, they absolutely will. I think that there will be a substantial number of people that decide to move overseas. And so I'm going to go through these, but basically, the factors that I think would lead people to move overseas are cost of livings are lower, it's more interesting. Young men, or actually not just young men, they have better chances with the chicks, right? Okay. Older people, they can save money, right? Some also would like to go for the weather. Many people prefer the different cultural environments, and it can be fun to learn Spanish or whatever language it is. Now, there are some reasons. No, there are possible tax reasons, and I also need to put in here security companies demand you use their hardware. And I'll go into each one of these later. And this one actually applied to me. I had this happen. Even though I didn't take the job, well, I'll go into it. They wanted me to use their laptop, company laptop. Okay, so there are a couple more that I didn't put on the list. And so at any rate, tax reasons, an employer potentially could be subject to taxation because they're generating their income in a jurisdiction overseas that technically they may need to pay both taxation on their some amount of their profits, or they may even be subject to employment laws overseas. Now that usually won't apply, but in certain situations it might. But most of the time it's not, and they could make you a contract worker. Anyways, people might miss their family too much. Crime can be higher. And I'll go into this one where, well, the company might want you to use their machinery and they might not want you to take it out of the country. So let's go through each one of these one by one. First of all, I think we'll all agree that there is sort of a wave coming, even though the wave is already hit. Here's an article that discusses that, there's 4 waves of remote working, and we're really just in the third one. That's even more is coming. And I believe that's the case. I think that there's going to be even more remote workers. Remote working, this is Forbes, remote working becomes permanent. So why would somebody choose to be overseas, right? Well, the first reason is, can you do it? And the answer is yes, I'm doing it. There are many of these countries. Right now, I am in Barranquilla, Colombia. Okay, it is January 28th, 2022, and I'm making this video from Barranquilla. Colombia allows you to just come in for 6 months, no problem, and you can stay here. Right? Before that, I was in the Dominican Republic for about 10 months, right? And before that, again, I was in Colombia. So I've been bopping back and forth, and it's no problem because you don't have to have permanent residency. You don't have to have a complete forever type legal right to live in a foreign country. When you can bop back and forth. Ecuador has the same sort of deal. Virtually all countries in South America will let an American, and Central America and Mexico for that matter. Well, Mexico is extremely lenient, right? So, as they should be. But almost all these countries down here will let you jump in to their country just for the passport. And you can stay 90 days and extend your visa. Colombia has a deal where you extend it online, right? You just fill out this form, you do it online, right? And you could get to stay another 90 days. So that's 6 months. So you can stay 6 months of the year in any one of these places, and you can come back, right? So at the end of the day, you could stay for a long, long time. And I'm just talking about Central and South America. This applies across the board in, certain parts of Europe, certain parts of Africa, in Asia, a little bit less so, but you can. And I lived for quite a number of years in China, so I know something about this. So you can do it. That's the first thing. Now, cost of living. Yeah, are you kidding me? My rent is about three times less expensive here than it would be in South Florida, in Miami, right? Do you know how cheap Uber is? Uber is about $1 to go a good 2 miles. $1 here in Colombia. At peak times to go that same 1 or 2 mile distance, actually it's more than 1 mile, it's closer to 2 miles, that there's a great shopping mall I go to, and so I use Uber quite a bit. At the peak times, you're looking at 6,800 pesos, which comes to I don't know, about $1.75. Okay, but usually it's only $1. A little bit more than $1. It's usually $1.15. Yeah, to go 2 miles. That's right. And what's wonderful about the Dominican Republic, Colombia, and so many of these other countries is that though there's so much competition from, you've got InDriver, you've got Cabify, you've got from China Didi Dacha, which I use that in China quite a bit, and it's the same deal, right? So, and it's cheap. Uber is very expensive in the United States. I mean, on the order of 3 times, and the same thing, no, maybe 4 times. All right, so the same thing applies to rents, right? So you're paying so much money. You're paying so much money. I don't want to forget the weather, when you don't really need to. So now here's the deal. What about why would young men, and I'm not young. I've hit the 50 years mark recently. I have crossed the big 50 just very, very recently. Okay. So, but why would I think there are a lot of men in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and I suppose older men too, who will say to themselves, well, geez, Louise, I get a lot of credit for being a Westerner from Canada or the United States or Germany. People kind of give me credit, and my dollar, I get a lot of bang for my buck down here, and wow, you can score with the chicks pretty well. You really can. So, why wouldn't you do it? Well, actually, I want to hit on something. There's a counterpoint there. I think that a lot of people don't realize that here, if you are very remote and you're a foreigner and you go to a country, the women are also going to say, well, you're here today, gone tomorrow. Okay, you're here today, gone tomorrow. So I think that kind of cuts against it. I should probably, I don't want to say that is the most important factor. So another deal is the weather. In the United States, it's wonderful in Arizona. It's wonderful in South Florida, sure. But again, there's the costs. So when you come down to this part of the world, the weather is really pretty nice. It's very nice, as a matter of fact. And if you time where you stay, Barranquilla has about 3 months of just virtual continual sunshine, right? And I'm in that period right now. So then you can go somewhere else when the rainy season hits, etc. So now, what are some? Let's see here. What is going on remote? A virtual tidal wave may follow, indeed. So retirement. Okay. Colombia has a visa that's not just 90 days, but it's actually you can if you can prove that you have, I think it's like $1,300 in fixed income. It could be your retirement accounts, including Social Security, right? If you can show that you have sort of an income stream of $1,300, I think it is, I forget, but you can get a permanent visa to Colombia, right? So this is not for those people that are, say, 55 years old, they're still working, or they're 60 years old, or 65. They may say to themselves, well, geez, I think I want to get on this early. And so they may end up being part of this wave. And here, I just hit on this. Colombia has really top-notch doctors. It seems like everybody's heard about the fact that Cuba has wonderful, wonderful medical care and some of the best doctors in the world, despite that it's such a basket case economically. Well, Colombia, likewise. Colombia is not Cuba, and I would never want to live in Cuba. But Colombia, whoa, it's the same deal here, just as in Cuba. They've got some really good doctors here. And I don't extrapolate this to other South American or Central American countries, because I don't think it is the case. I just think it's that Colombia and Cuba. Now, maybe there's other ones that I don't really know which countries are which when it comes to medical care. But at any rate, the point is, older people who are getting near retirement may say, well, this is a perfect time to do what my friend John or Jane Doe did, which is move down to Ecuador or Colombia to get more bang out of their retirement buck. So they could be part of that, right? So I personally think that now, what about me? What do? I'm a computer programmer. I'm a web developer, and I maintain servers. I build websites. I make sure the data gets into the database and then pushes itself out onto your web page just right, that sort of thing. So, and I decided, hey, I want to work remotely. And here's the deal. Now, this is my experience. I'm going to tell you, there are some companies that will demand that you use their laptop, right? Or because it's like if you go in for a job interview with Microsoft, they don't let you bring in your computer, and they don't let you work on your machines in that job role. No way. You need to have a lock. Well, sometimes they do. A buddy of mine was a programmer and project manager there, and they actually, in his case, I mean, he was really good, and he was a leader of teams, and he was allowed to bring his laptop home and work on. And I'm glad I'm not mentioning his name, because I think he was pushing the envelope there. Generally, there are a lot of these companies that they want to have their systems locked down. And part of that is they will give you, in my case, I had a job offer and I began working with them. At any rate, I had to pick up their computer within the United States, and it was a computer that could be locked down and shut down. It could be turned off remotely. It had all sorts of security measures in place, and that has to do with the sort of protecting the sanctity of the data of the clients that you're working on, right? And so that some of them won't let you take their hardware overseas. Okay, so not all of them will do that. But the company I'm working for now, no, that's not a problem. And I was offered by them, they said, we will provision you with remote work office technology, including a laptop, etc., and we'll send it to you if you need it. I said, no, I've got my own computer. I don't need you to do that. But a lot of companies are doing that. A lot of companies are saying, hey, we're going to set the remote workers up. There's a whole system of protocols. You're going to use certain things. You're going to have a particular, I was about to say fax machine, but most people won't use a fax really. But, you've got to kind of follow the way the company does it, and that might not accommodate being overseas. Um, so at any rate, my feeling is that, you know, I think people will choose in the remote work wave to go overseas. Right now on this North Coast, most foreigners in the Dominican Republic live on the North Coast, and I will tell you that there's a real estate boom happening right up here right now. I mean, the houses are going like hotcakes. The Dominican Republic is a place where pretty much you can go down there and stay just as long as you want. You don't need to get legal residency. You don't need to get citizenship, and you can't work there. I mean, you can't take their jobs, but you know, you could have your own businesses, etc. And you just pay a fine. You can stay 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. If you stay 10 years, they actually reward you and will give you residency. It's great, right? You pay like, you know, last time I paid like there's a 90-day fee that you'll end up paying if you overstay. You know, it's no problem. You just pay a teeny little fee, etc. And so there is a real estate kind of a big thing happening up here in the Dominican Republic, because foreigners are going down there and buying properties, and I think a lot of them are seeing, hey, you know, this is going to happen, and there's going to be a lot of people moving down there. Dominican Republic is an hour and a half from Miami, right? I mean, I get on the plane and like 5 minutes later, I'm in the Dominican Republic. It's you know, so there you go. Okay, you guys have a good one.